Hi, I'm Mandi Miach and you're watching A News. Here are the headlines. In an interview with the state television, Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev addresses unresolved questions surrounding the causes of the Azal plane crash near Aktau. Azerbaijan continues to mourn the tragic loss of lives in the Azerbaijan Airlines Embraer 190 crash near Aktau, Kazakhstan. Mikhail Kavelashvili takes presidential oath in Georgia. Salome Zurabishvili still considers herself the only legitimate president. Thank you for tuning in. In an interview with the state television, Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev addressed the unresolved questions surrounding the causes of the Azal plane crash near Aktau and also said that the crew members showed professionalism.
The pilots showed both professionalism and heroism in controlling the plane that was out of control in various ways. Of course, they were experienced pilots and knew that they would not be able to survive this emergency landing. However, they displayed tremendous heroism to save the passengers, and it is thanks to them that there are survivors in this plane crash. It is thanks to them that a section of the fuselage did not burn, and it is thanks to them that we can clearly say today that the plane was shot down by Russia. This is a fact, and no one can deny this fact. Again, we are not saying that this was done intentionally, but it was done. We have clearly expressed our demands to the Russian side. These demands were officially communicated to them on the 27th of December. What do these demands consist of? First of all, the Russian side must apologize to Azerbaijan. Secondly, it must acknowledge its guilt. Thirdly, those responsible must be punished, brought to criminal responsibility, and compensation must be paid to the Azerbaijani state, to the injured passengers and crew members. These are our conditions. The first of these was fulfilled yesterday. I do hope that the other conditions will also be accepted. All these conditions are fair. There are no extraordinary demands or issues here. All of this is based on international experience and normal human conduct.
The heroic actions of Azerbaijan Airlines pilots and crew during the Aktau emergency landing saved 29 lives. Today, Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev honored their bravery.
On December 25, 2024, an Embraer 190 aircraft belonging to Azerbaijan Airlines and operating the Baku-Grozny flight came under external physical and technical interference in Russian airspace, losing control and being redirected to Aktau, Kazakhstan. Despite severe damage and injuries, the pilots and the crew members displayed exceptional professionalism and bravery, enabling an emergency landing and saving 29 passengers. In accordance with Article 109, Clause 23 of the Constitution of the Republic of Azerbaijan, Igor Ivanovich Kshniakin, Alexander Georgievich Kalyaninov, and Hokuma Jalilgazi Aliyeva were awarded the National Hero of Azerbaijan post-mortem. The flight attendants Zulfigar Sardaroglu Asadov and Aydan Vagivgazi Rahimli were awarded the first-degree order for bravery. Their courage and dedication are a testament to their heroism, and their actions will forever be remembered.
Azerbaijan continues to mourn the tragic loss of lives in the Azerbaijan Airlines Embraer 190 crash near Aktau, Kazakhstan on December 25th. Today, a farewell ceremony for the brave crew members was held at the Heydar Aliyev International Airport, followed by their burial at the Second Alley of Honor. President Ilham Aliyev and First Lady Mehriban Aliyeva also attended the ceremony.
Today, at Heydar Aliyev International Airport, a farewell ceremony took place for the crew members of the Embraer 190, operating flight G28243 Baku-Grozny, which crashed near Aktau, Kazakhstan on December 25. The aircraft captain, Igor Kshniakin, pilot Alexander Kalyaninov, and flight attendant Hokuma Aliyeva were honored by family members, friends, officials, and public figures. The President of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev, and First Lady Mehriban Aliyeva joined the mourners, offering their condolences and paying tribute to the courage of the crew. Wreaths and messages of support adorned the venue as emotional tributes were delivered. The ceremony highlighted the heroism of the pilots who, despite critical damage to the plane, managed to save 29 out of 67 people on board. Tragically, 38 lives were lost in the crash, which initial findings suggest was caused by external interference while flying over Russian airspace near Grozny. Following the ceremony, the crew members were laid to rest at the Second Alley of Honors in Baku. A funeral procession and hundreds of mourners accompanied their final journey, marking a national moment of grief. As the nation mourns, Azerbaijan remains united in honoring the crew's bravery and seeking justice for the lives lost in the tragedy.
Another one of the victims of the Azal plane's tragic crash, 13-year-old Mohammad Ali Yaganov, has been laid to rest in Baku.
Among the victims of the Azerbaijan Airlines plane crash was 13-year-old Mohammad Ali Yaganov, who was traveling alone to celebrate the holidays with his mother, a resident of Grozny. Following the tragedy, he was laid to rest in Baku. His family mourns the loss of a young life cut short. A passionate footballer who played for Baku's Ganjli club, Mohammad Ali lived in Baku and studied at a local secondary school. His untimely death has triggered an outpouring of emotions on social media from his classmates and football coach. One of his close friends told local media that Mohammad Ali had a sense of something going wrong before boarding the plane. According to his friend, he said goodbye to everyone he knew. The crash involved an Embraer aircraft en route from Baku to Grozny. Of the 67 passengers on board, 38 were killed. The victims included Azerbaijanis, Russians, Kazakhs, and Kyrgyz nationals.
The team investigating the Azal plane crash in Aktau that left 38 people dead will examine what kind of a rocket struck the plane, according to the Azerbaijani transport minister. Aviation experts were invited to join the inquiry.
The team investigating the Azal plane crash, along with aviation specialists invited for this case, will examine what kind of weapon, or rather what kind of rocket, caused the plane crash in Aktau, according to Azerbaijan's Minister of Digital Development and Transport, Rashad Nabiev. He noted that Azerbaijani and Kazakh officials have spoken to the survivors and witnesses to gain a clearer understanding of the cause.
During our visit to survivors, including those with Russian citizenship, all of them, without exception, stated that they heard 3 blast sounds when the aircraft was above Grozny city. They indicated that these sounds came from outside, suggesting there was an external impact on the plane. As a result of the blast, one of the flight attendants sustained injuries to her hand, while another woman suffered injuries to both her hand and leg. In other footage, holes are visible on the plane's wing, along with various signs of damage inside the plane, particularly in its interior parts, caused by what appears to be an impact from sharp external objects. Our investigation team, along with aviation specialists invited for this case, will now examine what kind of weapon, or rather, what kind of rocket, was used.
Touching upon other versions of what could have led to the crash of the plane, Mr. Nabiev said that some needed further investigation. However, most of them are easily refuted by the evidence at hand. For example, experts already concluded that there was external interference.
Bildiyiniz kimi kütləvi informasiya vasitələrində ilk saatlarda müxtəlif informasiyalar.
As you know, in the initial hours following the incident, various pieces of information were leaked in the media. Among the leaked claims was the suggestion that the plane may have been struck by birds. However, the initial conclusion reached by experts is that the debris found on the ground and the witness statements indicate that there was external interference.
Burada kənar müdaxilə olub, amma indi söhbət gedir ki,
The current question is what type of weapon caused this external interference? If you paid close attention to the information provided by Kazakh officials, they referred to a claim made by the air traffic controller in Rostov that the explosion might have been caused by an oxygen cylinder.
Rostovda olan dispatcher tərəfindən verildiyinə istinad.
We believe this claim needs to be thoroughly investigated first to confirm whether this information was indeed given or not.
Bu məlumat verilib.
We also believe that the information originating from Rostov might have been shared by an interested party.
Bu maraqlı tərəfindən verilən bir.
Furthermore, as I already mentioned, the evidence contradicting this claim includes the fact that there were 3 separate explosions and that these explosion sounds were clearly external.
Kənardan gəldiyini.
Azerbaijan Airlines plane flying from Baku to Grozny tragically crashed near Aktau, Kazakhstan on December 25th. The crash led to the death of 38 people, including both pilots, and left 29 passengers injured. While the cause was initially unclear, preliminary investigations now strongly suggest the involvement of a surface-to-air missile.
Following the crash of the Azal Embraer 190 near Aktau, several airlines have suspended flights to Russia.
The aviation industry is on high alert after the crash of an Azerbaijan Airlines Embraer 190 near Aktau. On December 25th, Flight J28243, traveling from Baku to Grozny, went down during its descent. Of the 67 passengers and crew on board, 38 lost their lives, while 29 survived. Preliminary investigations suggest external interference may have caused the crash, prompting heightened safety measures. In response, several airlines have suspended their services to Russia. Azerbaijan Airlines canceled flights to 10 Russian cities, including Moscow, Mineralnye Vody, Sochi, Volgograd, Ufa, Samara, Grozny, Makhachkala, Saratov, Nizhny Novgorod, and Vladikavkaz. Turkmenistan Airlines suspended all flights between Ashgabat and Moscow from December 30th until January 31st, 2025. Israel's El Al airline temporarily halted flights to Moscow for a week. Kazakh Air from Kazakhstan canceled flights to Yekaterinburg until the end of January. Fly Dubai from the UAE suspended flights to Sochi until January 2, 2025, and to Mineralnye Vody until January 3, 2025. These suspensions reflect growing concerns over air travel safety in the region, as airlines await further clarity on the circumstances surrounding the tragic crash.
The Azal airliner faced a tragic ordeal during its flight from Baku to Grozny. What began as a routine journey ended in disaster near Aktau after the plane encountered suspected missile damage and electronic interference. Despite these challenges, the heroic actions of the crew saved 29 lives.
The Embraer 190 aircraft, operated by Azerbaijan Airlines, was on a routine flight from Baku to Grozny, Russia's North Caucasus region, on 25th December. The journey, however, turned into a dramatic and tragic ordeal when the plane likely sustained damage from a Russian Pantsir S-1 air defense system. Denied permission to land at Grozny Airport and nearby airports in Makhachkala and Mineralnye Vody, the Azerbaijani passenger jet found itself in an increasingly dire situation. Adding to that, electronic warfare systems deployed by the Russian side reportedly paralyzed the aircraft's communication systems, leaving the crew with minimal support. The flight was redirected to Aktau Airport, 450 kilometers, 280 miles, east of its intended destination, what seemed almost an impossible task. Piloting a damaged aircraft, navigating hostile skies, and battling the elements, Captain Igor Kshniakin and First Officer Alexander Kalyaninov displayed extraordinary professionalism and composure. Flight Radar 24 data revealed erratic vertical speed fluctuations in the final 74 minutes of the flight, underscoring the crew's struggle to maintain control. Aviation expert and former pilot Dan Bubb, in his interview to Newsweek, praised the pilot's ability to transform a compromised aircraft into a heavy glider, steering it along the best possible glide path under immense pressure. Canadian aviation specialist Brian Murray echoed these sentiments, highlighting their quick thinking and adaptability, which turned what could have been a complete disaster into a moment of heroism. Despite their valiant efforts, the long and arduous journey ended in tragedy as the plane crashed near Aktau, Kazakhstan, following a desperate attempt to execute an emergency landing. The heroic actions of the crew, however, saved 29 passengers from certain death. A day of mourning was declared in Azerbaijan on the 26th of December to honor the victims of this catastrophe. Across the country, a minute of silence was observed, and motorists honked their horns in a collective tribute. Kazakhstan's Deputy Prime Minister Kanat Bozumbayev confirmed 38 fatalities and ongoing rescue efforts at the crash site. President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev deployed a medical evacuation aircraft and assigned a government commission led by the Deputy Prime Minister to investigate the incident. Emerging details paint a harrowing picture. The aircraft reportedly experienced GPS jamming near Grozny, its radar signals vanishing shortly thereafter. Russian officials cited bad weather as the cause of the diversion, but experts suspect military activity and missile damage. Mark Z of OPS Group, an organization monitoring global airspace risks, analyzed images of the aircraft's wreckage and identified fragments consistent with a surface-to-air missile strike. At a high level, we put the probability of it being a SAM attack well into the 90 to 99% bracket, Z stated. Azerbaijan's Digital Development and Transport Minister Rashad Nabiev revealed that survivors heard an explosion near Grozny, and physical evidence, such as small holes in the plane's tail, strongly supports the missile strike theory. On 28 December, Russian President Vladimir Putin apologized to Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev, offering deep condolences to the victims' families and expressing hope for the swift recovery of the injured. Both leaders agreed on the necessity of a thorough investigation, accountability for those responsible, and compensation for the victims' families. While the tragedy claimed many lives, the courage and professionalism of Captain Kshniakin and First Officer Kalyaninov will be remembered as a beacon of hope amidst the sorrow, a testament to human resilience in the face of unimaginable adversity.
The death toll of the plane crash in South Korea has risen to 179. The Boeing 737 plane belonging to Jeju Air skidded off the runway after reporting landing gear issues and erupted in flames after hitting a wall.
This was the final moment of Flight 7C2216 as the aircraft, a Boeing 737 belonging to Jeju Air, veered off the runway at South Korea's Muwon International Airport and slammed into a perimeter wall. The plane, carrying a total of 181 passengers, including 6 crew members, was arriving from Bangkok and attempted a belly landing after the landing gear reportedly failed to deploy. 2 people, both crew members, have been pulled from the back of the plane, which shattered to pieces upon impact. One has been transported to a hospital in the country's capital, Seoul. South Korea's transport minister says the government will do its best to manage the aftermath of the crash.
As the minister responsible for overseeing aviation administration, I extend my deepest apologies and condolences to the bereaved families and the public. The government will mobilize all available resources to ensure swift rescue operations, manage the aftermath of the accident, support the bereaved families, and thoroughly investigate the cause of the incident.
Jeju Air CEO says the aircraft was serviced in accordance with the maintenance program and showed no signs of anomalies.
I would like to express my deepest condolences and apologies to the passengers who have passed away due to this accident. Jeju Air will make every effort to resolve the situation quickly and support the family members of the passengers. In addition, we will do our best to find out the cause of the accident with the government.
South Korea's acting president, Choi Sang-mo, arrived in Muan following the incident and held an emergency meeting at the Muan country office. He pledged the government's support in channeling all its resources to deal with the crash. In a statement on social media, plane manufacturer Boeing says they have established contact with Jeju Air and extend their deepest condolences to the affected families. The cause of the faulty landing gear is yet to be officially confirmed, though a bird strike has been pointed to as a possibility. The Transportation Ministry says it has retrieved both black boxes from the crash and that both flight data and voice recorder devices have been secured. Authorities have confirmed that all, except the 2 survivors, have perished in the crash. This makes it South Korea's worst civil aviation disaster.
Over in Georgia, Mikhail Kavelashvili has taken the oath to become the country's 6th president. At the same time, the 5th president, Salome Zurabishvili, announced that she is leaving the Orbeliani Palace, although she still considers herself the only legitimate president. Our Leila Rahimli brings more from Tbilisi.
Good evening from Tbilisi. Today, Georgia is experiencing a politically charged day. Early today, Mikhail Kavelashvili was inaugurated as Georgia's 6th president during a ceremony held at the parliament. However, the event has deepened the political divide in the country. Protesters began gathering as early as 9 a.m. outside the parliament, opposing Kavelashvili's swearing-in ceremony. They claim his presidency lacks legitimacy as he was appointed by the ruling Georgian Dream Party. Their main demand is for new parliamentary elections. Meanwhile, hundreds of thousands across the country continue to express support for outgoing President Salome Zurabishvili. In a speech to the crowd, Zurabishvili said, legitimacy comes from the people and I'm taking that legitimacy with me. She vowed to remain with the people, accusing the ruling party of ignoring opportunities for dialogue. Earlier today, Zurabishvili announced her plans to leave the Orbeliani Palace, stating this building belongs to the Georgian people, not to any individual. I will leave, but I will stay with you. Zurabishvili's stance has drawn international support. Leaders from the European Union and US senators have openly backed her, raising concerns about democratic backsliding in Georgia. Despite losing her state protection, Zurabishvili has promised to continue her fight for the country's future. On the other hand, during his inaugural address, President Mikhail Kavelashvili emphasized the challenge ahead. He pledged to unite the nations and restore the credibility of the presidency. The presidency has been tarnished by division and personal ambition, Kavelashvili states. My mission is to rebuild trust in this institution and work for the Georgian people. Kavelashvili also highlighted his plans to address pressing economic and social issues. He called for unity, urging citizens to look forward to a stable and prosperous future. Members of the ruling party and its founder, Bidzina Ivanishvili, attended the ceremony, which took place under tight security and without the presence of foreign diplomats. Meanwhile, the streets of Tbilisi remain tense. Thousands of protesters are gathered outside the Orbeliani Palace and on Rustaveli Avenue. Early today, several demonstrators were detained by police but later released. As the day progressed, Georgia finds itself at a crossroads. On one side, the ruling party and its newly inaugurated president are calling for stability. On the other, a large portion of the population continues to rally behind Salome Zurabishvili, demanding democratic reforms and new elections. This political crisis is far from over, and the coming days will be critical in shaping Georgia's future. I will keep you updates as events unfold. And that's the latest updates for now. I am Leila Rahimli, reporting from Tbilisi, A News.
All new mobile phones, tablets, cameras and many other electronics sold in the European Union will have to be equipped with a USB Type-C charging port after the EU's Common Charger Law came into force yesterday. The new rules will make USB-C connectors used by Android-based devices the standard across the 27-nation bloc. forcing Apple to change its charging port for iPhones and other devices. The large size of the EU market means the new rules may lead to changes in other countries as well. The reform, first of its kind in the world, passed by an overwhelming majority in the European Parliament in October 2022.
We are replacing this pile of chargers with just this. The simplest solutions are often the best and most practical ones. And the simple solution each year will save thousands of tons of electronic waste, facilitate the reuse of old electronics, better consumer convenience, reduce unnecessary costs, and also help to save millions of euros.
In space technology news, Turkish-made Turksat 6A, the nation's first domestically produced communication satellite, has successfully reached its final orbit.
Turksat 6A has settled into its geosynchronous orbit at 42 degrees east, as confirmed by Turkey's Minister of Transport and Infrastructure, Abdulkadir Uraloğlu. The satellite began its journey on 9th of July from SpaceX Cape Canaveral launch site and reached a temporary orbit at 50 degrees east on July 20. After passing rigorous payload tests, the satellite was positioned in its final orbit 35,786 kilometers above Earth on December 27 at 05 Turkey time. Minister Uraloğlu described Turksat 6A as Turkey's largest research and development project, highlighting its significance for the country's space ambitions. Developed with domestic companies such as Aselsan and TÜBİTAK Uzay, Turksat 6A showcases Turkey's capability in satellite production. The satellite expands Turkey's communication coverage to new regions, including Southeast Asia, increasing its global reach from 3.5 billion to over 5 billion people. Turksat 6A solidifies Turkey's position as a regional leader and growing global player in space technology.
In the world of arts, Bosnia's traditional Sevdalinka song earned UNESCO's recognition. Sevdalinka, often referred to as the Balkan Blues, is a melancholic urban love song dating back to the 16th century.
In the heart of Sarajevo, musicians perform an ancient Bosnian love song recently included in UNESCO's National Inventory of Intangible Cultural Heritage. Sevdalinka, meaning of being in love, is a traditional love song that dates back to the 16th century. It is a blend of South Slavic oral poetry and the music of the Ottoman Empire. In recent years, some younger musicians have created new versions of Sevdalinka. Their work has introduced this music to audiences around the world, often using the instrument known as the saz.
As a child, I sang Sevdalinka from a young age. I was known as a child prodigy because I didn't want to sing anything else except Sevdalinka. Almost 20 years have passed since then. Today, I am an ethnomusicologist, a curator in the Department of Ethnology of the National Museum of Bosnia and Herzegovina, and an interpreter of Sevdalinka, and I spend most of my time and energy on Sevdalinka. Whether I sing or play or read about Sevdalinka or talk about them, even when I walk down the street, I think about them and hum them to myself. That's why Sevdalinka in my life represents what it actually is as a form, which is life.
One of Bosnia's famous musicians, Damir Imamovic, received awards in 2020 and 2021 for the European Best Album by World Music magazines Songlines and Transglobal.
The reason why I started doing education and research in the field of Sevda is that I realized how little the public actually knows about the Sevdalinka genre, and I wanted to somehow bring people closer to what it is.
Imamovic keeps the legacy of promoting Sevdalinka globally through his Sevda Lab project, which raised support for the song's inclusion on UNESCO's World Heritage List.
Well, that's all we have for you for now. Thank you for tuning in and keep watching A News.